Hi, my name is Cheryl Nomanson, and I'm a staff technical trainer for SolarWinds Academy. In this video, I'm going to show you a best practice method for optimizing and building a successful SNMP poller. So we're going to begin the way you should begin with any SNMP monitoring type device, and that is add it for monitoring with SNMP. SolarWinds does come with a lot of default pollers, and a great many devices, you'll at least get some metrics with our default pollers. So we're going to add it and we're going to monitor with SNMP. Then what we're going to do is we're going to observe and see what metrics we are getting pulled with the default pollers. Our default pollers have a tendency to be able to pull at least something on most devices out there. Once we see that, then we can identify the metrics that we want to see that aren't being pulled by the default pollers. So you're going to ID the metrics that you want to see that we don't have with the default pollers. The next step that I recommend at this point is to see if the OID exists for those metrics. Now you're going to need the OID to build a poller anyway, and you need to see if the OID has been surfaced for that metric. SolarWinds has a very, very flexible, very powerful ability to build custom SNMP pollers for a lot of different metrics. But ultimately, we can only read the OIDs that are present. We can't create them, we can't add new ones. All of the OIDs are controlled by the vendor themselves. So if the OID does not exist, there isn't anything on the SolarWinds side you can do it, usually. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to say, does the OID exist? Okay, so does the OID exist? First one I'm going to talk about is no, the OID doesn't exist. And we're going to say no. And then, as you may assume, that would end the process. I can't really build my poller. But our polling tools contain a lot of data transformation tools within them. And it is possible in some cases to get the data that you want to see by using different OIDs. Just because there's no specific OID for the specific metric you want doesn't necessarily mean that you can't build a poller. With other OIDs or data transformation tools and a little bit of imagination, in a lot of cases you can get the data you want. So what we would say here is, can I use other OIDs? So can I use other OIDs to get the data that I want to see? It is possible, though not quite as often as the next process we'll look at, but it is possible that you can't, in which case you would be at an end stage and not building a poller. But I would say it is a lot more common that you can use other OIDs in a lot of cases to build a poller to get the data you want. So in here, I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to pause because we're going to come back to the does OID exist step. So this is very common. Okay, I don't have the OID. Can I use other OIDs? Yes, great. I can go on in my build process. Although it is important to understand that you do sometimes hit this endpoint where you would not be able to build a poller. So let's say now, if we go back to this step, does the OID exist? So we're going to say yes to that. Okay, then the next step that you do from here is you search that OID against the SolarWinds MIB database. Come down here. Is it in the MIB database? And that would also be the join from here. So if you go through this process and using other OIDs, great, you've identified those OIDs. You need to search them against the MIB database. If the actual OID exists, great, you need to search it against the MIB database. Now, if those OIDs are in the MIB database, then you can go build your poller. So if they are in the MIB database, they're there, you can use them, you can build your polar. Okay, so what if those OIDs are not in the MIB database? So if they are not in the MIB database, then what you want to do next is you want to do what we call MIB database update. And we put out MIB databases quite frequently. Every month or so, we'll have a new version of the MIB database. So it's very possible, if you've been a long time since you've done the update, or if you've never done an update, that your OIDs may at some point have found their way into the MIB database, and all you really need to do is update that. So the next step that you would do here then is you would run a MIB database update. Okay, we're going to run an update to the MIB database, and then we're going to check again. There's a little bit of repetition here. So I'm going to say, is it in the MIB database? So we're going to say, are the OIDs in the MIB database? Okay. If your answer here is this yes, then you go build your polar. Okay. If your answer is still no, you still have some steps that you can go through. Then what you're going to do here is you're going to submit to us a MIB database update. The reason why our MIB database updates so frequently is because we have customers that submit to us the MIB files from their devices that have OIDs that they want to be able to track that don't happen to be in the MIB file that we have in our database. Okay, so what you do is you open a support ticket, attach the MIB database file, give us the make and model of your device, and submit. Then anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, we will probably notify you that the MIBs that you need are actually in the database. So the MIB database update comes back to you. It's probably going to be somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks on average, give or take. The update is released. The update is released. You'll be informed on that through your ticket. You go and get the update either through the web console if you have internet connection, or you go to the customer portal and get the MIB file. You update your database, and if you've been informed that your updates are in the database through your ticket, you still want to do a search, but it's highly likely that your MIBs are now in that database, and now you build your polar. So there's very few paths here where you're not going to be able to build your polar. Most of the time, customers find themselves in this part here when they can't build their polar immediately. And you can still get your polar, you just might have a little bit of a delay while you wait for us to submit a MIB database update. I have searching the OID here, and some people search for the OID later. I like to get my OID very early in this process because I'm going to need it to build the polar. If I get down through a lot more pieces, I start building my polar and I realize that I need to do this process, I've probably wasted a little bit of time. Or if I identify that early in my process, I can take kind of a streamlined approach to ultimately build my polar. Now, I've mentioned things like OIDs, MIBs, polars, transformation tools. You can learn a lot about those tools from the SolarWinds Academy in our classes. So please make sure that you reach out to the SolarWinds Academy for on-demand or instructor-led classes. We will dive deeper into this model. We'll teach you what OIDs are. We'll teach you what MIBs are. We'll teach you how to do the updates, when to do the updates, and then most importantly, how to use all of the robust capabilities in these polar tools to build your custom polar. So please reach out to the SolarWinds Academy. We have on-demand classes and instructor-led that will help you dive deeper into this process of building polars. Thank you for watching.